Hi everyone and welcome back to our board game series. In the first episode, we went through and created the board spaces, allowing us to set up some basic functionality for them being landed on or passed by, as well as setting up the location of them on the board themselves. And we're putting some debug arrows to help us get through this. So in this episode, we're going to start looking at the game mode and talking about how we do turn taking and making sure players are taking their turns in the right order. So let's jump in and take a look at how we set this up. So as a reminder, here we are as from last episode, and what we need to be doing now is looking at our game mode. So let's create a new game mode. So we go to Blueprint Class, Game Mode Base, and we'll call this Game Mode Board Game. And before we go any further, I'm going to change the world settings to override and put in the board game there. Very easy mistake to make is you just forget to put that on. So first of all, a game mode. What's the point of a game mode? The game mode is your overarching manager of the whole entire game. And it should be looking after whose turn it is, what they're doing at any one moment in time. And especially for a turn-based game like this, it can be quite important. So let's go ahead and set up the first thing, which is getting the players actually in the game. So let's go over to the event graph. Now on the event graph, we can get rid of these two because we want the post login. Now post login means whenever a player joins the game, and this is from a multiplayer aspect. This also triggers in single player, but for multiplayer, this would be every new player that joins the game would come in here. And as they join, we want to make sure that as they're joining in, we are keeping a record of who they are in our game mode. Now, the game state also has a record of who the players are via the player states, but the game mode is going to be useful because that's how we determine what turn is what. And we're just going to send signals across the board, no pun intended. So in the new player here, we're going to store this as a variable in an array. So just promote that to variable. I'm just going to delete it straight away and just rename it player list and make that an array like so. And we just want to do add to our player array. Okay, so when the player comes in, they're getting a an array pointer set to them. Okay, so now we have a list of all the players. Now, a few functions in here that we need to set up and manage in this. And it can be quite a useful idea when you're making these sort of actors is to plot out what you actually want these things to do by putting in empty functions and events to sort of like storyboard out what the actual flow of the game will be. So let's start off with a start turn event. Okay, so this will be starting the turn. We also have a custom event for end turn. Okay. And what start turn needs to do is communicate to the player list that we've got whose turn it is. So we need to get the player list. And then from there, we need to get the first one in the list. Now, at the moment, we're just getting the first one by looking at 0. What I can do here is cycle through this as an index of this. So I want to have as a variable in here, current player index, which should be an integer, and it'd be a singular integer, not an array. And the default of this would be 0. So when we plug that in, that's totally okay. So it's going to get that, and then it's going to spit out whose turn it is. And it might be quite a good idea just to promote it to variable current player. Now we want to use our player index to increment on the end turn. And when we do that, we want to make sure it stays valid inside of the array and then cycle back to the beginning of the array. So this is how we get our player index here to increment and cycle through and back to the beginning of an array. So on the event, we're going to add an integer to it. We're going to add 1. And then we're going to check to see if it's valid inside of the array. So get your array out and you go is valid index. And looking at this current array. Now let's add 1 to it. This isn't actually changing it. This is just getting it and reading it. And this is its own separate thing. This is not changing the value yet. What we're doing now is just checking to see if it's valid. If it's not valid, we want to do a select int node. So a set int node is really nice because if it's true and it picks A, it will be the A value. If it's B, that means it's false. So A here, if it's true and it is valid, we want to use the correct value that we've calculated there. If it is not true, it's B, I want it to go back to the beginning, i.e. 0. And then we just set that to our value, changing it. So then we put that onto the end turn like so to increment the player index. We then can call start turn again. Very basic setup. Okay. Now, this obviously isn't the end of these functions or events. This is what we call iterative design. We are doing a bit by bit approach and testing each layer as it goes. So on the start turn, we are getting the current player, and then we're going to send a command to the player to start their turn and roll their dice. And then an end turn, which is going to be received from the player again to say they've ended. They're going to call this and it's going to say start turn. Okay, so we now need to communicate to the player, hey, you need to start your turn. So for this, we can use the player controller. So we don't have a custom player controller yet. We need one. So let's create a Blueprint class player controller. We have PC board game. And before we go anywhere, we're going to go to our class defaults on our game mode and change our player controller to the PC board game. Okay, in PC board game, we need to have a event on here for starting a turn and ending a turn and all those good things. Now, we could, if we wanted to put them in account values, we could also put it in as an interface, which could be quite useful. There's no real wrong or right way of doing this. It's totally up to you, but I'm going to show you the interface method. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a Blueprint interface, BPI board game. And in the board game here, we're going to do player start turn. And the input for this would be actually no input, sorry, we don't need input. There you go, that'd be fine. Close that. And in the player controller, we need to assign it on the class settings. So whenever you've got an interface, to assign an interface, you go to the class settings, interfaces, add, and you find it in the list, BPI board game. When you assign an interface, you'll find the interface option that we made down here on the left. We double click on this, and there is our function for player start turn. Now, back on our board game, we've got current player. We need on start turn to call player start turn. And you'll find the one that's got the message here. Okay, and that's going to communicate to the player and handle that loop across there. Now, keep in mind, this is going to be run on the server only. So it might be a good idea to put a little reminder in for yourself that this is server only. So server only. You know it's server only because the game mode is the one that's calling it. So this will only, the stuff that you put here will only ever run on a server. So just be aware of that when you are building any sort of multiplayer game. Anything called from the game mode is server only. So, right, so on the player start turn, we need it to do the roll die and then end the turn. Now, at the moment, we're not going to do the roll die. We're going to save that for the next episode. In this episode, though, we just want to get the flow of the game working. So we're going to see the player index going up, getting new players added, and so on. So on player start turn, we're going to make it just do a delay for a second. In fact, we'll do it a delay for 3 seconds. And then we'll call end turn on them. Okay. Now, again, this is server only. So what we can do here is I can get the game mode and I can cast to our GM board game and call it end turn. Okay, this is only temporary whilst we're developing and testing this out. But this should create a loop for us because this will go into here, change the player index to call start turn, which will increase the player, change the player, get the player start turn, and so on and so forth. Now, as the player start turn happens, we need a way to debug this and make sure it's working. So on the PC, at the start of their turn, I'm going to print string their name. And the name of the player character in a multiplayer game is stored on the player state. So we're going to get the player state. And then from there, we're going to get player name. And we'll just do a print string for that. So when you're testing this out, you'll find that the print string won't be a name, it'll be a number. Is it like 200 and something, usually for me. So what we should see is these numbers printing out on the top of the screen as I cycle through. I'm just going to change this to be, we'll change the duration here from 2 to like 10. So I can see a bit more of them all at once. And there's our debug test going on there. Back to our game mode. When the post login has begun, and we've got the player list here, we want to make sure we've got enough players in the game to begin with. So on post login here, we're going to get the player list and get the length of it and see if there's enough of them. So if it's greater than or equal to, 4 in a branch, and then we call start turn. Now for this as well, the test, we want to go to class defaults and make sure we don't spawn with any pawns. I'm going to do that as none and hit compile and save. And then we want to test it in multiplayer. So we're going to go down to number of players and we'll put in 4, net mode, listen server. And I'm going to do a new editor window for each player. So this should spawn 4 windows on the screen. Give it a sec. So, okay. So, here you go. You can see it's getting the name of my computer and printing out the 4 players. So, one player was 0340 it starts with, and that's going to cycle through, and we should see 0340 come back up again. There you go, 0340. So now we've got a loop of the players taking turns, which is exactly what we want. Now, the camera view point of view here is obviously not what we want. That is just the default camera being spawned at 000. We also need to change that. But this is on our road of creating the whole thing. So there you go. We've got our game mode working with a start turn and end turn mechanic and players taking turns. Albeit very basic, but that's what you want when you're developing things. You want to build iteratively on each item rather than building all the item at once and then seeing if it works later. So make little mini tests for yourself and test if your theory is working. If it is, great, you can now work on the next bit, which is what we're going to be doing next, which is spawning in our pawns and camera. So I'm going to take the pawns that we've made and we're going to put them into the game on the starting point, which we'll designate, and we'll tell our camera, we'll make a new camera to watch over the whole entire board. If you want to watch the next episode right now, head over to patreon.com/Ryan Laley, where you can find all our videos early from just $1 a month. And if you're a diamond tier patron, you get a free 1-to-1 session as part of your Patreon subscription. So sign up if you want to get extra support with your projects and guidance, or just private training. It's up to you exactly what you want. But if you want to support the channel, head over there, that'd be great. If not, make sure to subscribe and like this video. Much appreciated. I'll see you all in the next episode. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.